Hello, hello, hello. We are back with another monthly live session with Maureen Chiana. Such a joy to be back, and I hope you can hear me. If you can, please just pop in the chat that you can hear me, so at least I know. And it would be great to put in where you're joining us from. So um, someone says waiting. Let's see. If you can just pop in the chat just to make sure I confirm that we are definitely live. So if you can hear me, please pop in the chat that yes, you can hear me and we are live. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Juliet. Fantastic. Okay, so yes, I'm so pleased to be back with another monthly live. And I've been doing this now. I think this is the third month. And it's getting really even more exciting as I go along. So for me, this was one of the things I was holding back from, because our topic today is what's holding you back. So my name is Maureen Chiana. I am the founder and CEO of the Mindsight Academy. The Mindsight Academy is one that where we use neuroscience, we use emotional intelligence to empower leaders, empower individuals to really thrive. And I've also formed a new membership program for women where we also use faith, neuroscience, and emotional intelligence to truly live God's purpose. I'm also the host on Lead to Excel podcast. So do check out our podcast. And if you're watching from YouTube, you see that I've got a YouTube channel. So please do subscribe, comment, like, share, because it will really help more people see this. So I'm just going to look down here to see how we're getting us. If you see me looking down, it's just because I am looking on LinkedIn to see, because I can't see comments from LinkedIn on my screen. So if you are watching on LinkedIn, just pop your details down and just say, yes, you are watching from LinkedIn. Let me put that volume off just so I know. Awesome. So today, our topic is what's holding you back. And for you, it might be, you might think to yourself that I want to do things, but I lack resources. Maybe I lack support, lack opportunities. You know, these reasons we give. You might even feel that you're having unrealistic expectations of yourself. Or maybe you feel that you're actually holding yourself back because you've got expectations that other people have for you and not necessarily yours. So there are lots of things that can create that can make you find yourself in a position, I suppose, where you feel that you're holding yourself back or you're being held back. You might feel that you're actually being held back. So just have a think about what you can identify in your life that you're holding back from, or that you feel that you're being held back from. You know, maybe you feel stuck in your comfort zone, and that might be because of past experiences. So maybe it's fear that is preventing you from moving, or you kind of just feel that, you know what, this place is quite good, this place is quite chilled, and it's easier. But the problem with being held back or holding yourself back is that you find that you're unfulfilled, and you feel on, some form of restlessness within you as well. And the worst thing is to go through life, especially as you get older, and start looking back with regrets. I should have done that. Maybe I should have stepped out. I should have taken those steps. It's not a nice place to be. I have seen someone go through that. You know, on her dying bed, she was really regretting things that she could have done. And it's just so painful to see. And that was when I made the decision myself. You know what? I'm going to truly live my life to the fullest. I'm going to live my life on purpose. I'm going to do what God has called me to do. And one of the things that we've been discussing in the Mindsight Women's Network is truly identifying our purpose. And it's interesting how a lot of times we narrow it down to one thing, but the fact is that we're all individuals in God's eye. So our purpose is different, and how that will present itself is also very different. So, one of the things to really remember or to think about, especially as we go through this today, is being able to stop and identify that thing that you're holding back from. And I'll share a story with you that I stumbled across. And it was about a farmer who had 3 horses, and he was walking. I think he was going on a journey with his horses or going to a different village, and he got to a stream because he was tired and felt, you know what, let him just stop and take a dip in this stream. But then he looked around, how would he prevent the horses from wandering off? So he found a tree, and then he looked, he had 2 ropes, but he had 3 horses. And he wondered, what am I going to do? So he tied the two, but then, started wondering, what do I do? So untied them, and then saw somebody come by, and he asked, what do you think? Do you have a suggestion to how I can tie my 3 horses and go into this stream? And the person said to him, how many ropes do you have? He said, I've got 2. He said, okay, tie the 2 you have, and then make sure that when you're tying them, the 3rd horse watches you tying them. And then just act as if you're tying the horse, and then that you'll be fine. And he wondered, how would this work? But he did that. And he went into the stream, came back, and the 3 horses were exactly where he left them. The 3rd one that was not tied did not move. So he untied the 2 and then patted the 3rd one for them to move on. The 3rd one didn't move. He patted it again. It did not move. He pushed, nothing. So he ran back to the man and said, see, I've untied the 2, but the 3rd one is still not moving. And he said, you need to untie the 3rd one. He said, but he's not tied. He said, but he doesn't know that. So he went and just acted as if he was untying the 3rd horse, and then the 3rd horse moved. So what does this symbolize to you? Does this kind of bring anything to your mind? A lot of times, we feel that we are tied, to something, and it prevents us from moving or moving forward where we need to go. So, and the question that I have for you is, what invisible ropes do you feel are binding you or holding you down, preventing you from moving forward? And if you just want to pop something in the chat, if you want to, that's fine. If not, write it down on your own sheet of paper. What invisible ropes are binding you or holding you down? And this could be anything. It could be fear. It could be fear is usually a big one. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail about what causes that. But it could be fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. And that's a big one for our brain, because our brain doesn't like uncertainty. It doesn't like not knowing things. And you might find yourself a lot of times, you're comfortable when you don't know. You're the kind of person that likes being in control. So when you don't know what you're doing or what's about to happen, it really freaks you out. And it's a lot of us experience that. It might be fear of exposure, and or fear of how others will perceive you as well. So there are quite a few things that can be invisible ropes for you that are holding you back from taking action. But I want you to really be reflective today. Really reflective, so that at the end of this session, you can go away with something tangible to help you untie that invisible rope. So I can see some people, I can see people like Kaka from, sorry, Kaka, my sister, it's so good to have you. Cheese is so good from Scotland. My dear sister in Scotland, and Juliet, my dear sister from London. I can see you all here. I can't see people joining from LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, just pop down where you're calling from, and it would be great. You might be on Facebook. I'm not actually sure if I can see comments from Facebook, but hopefully I can. So another on or invisible rope is procrastination. Procrastination is also a big one. And this comes also from the way we've wired our brain. If you've been following me for a while, you know how much I talk about the subconscious brain and the power it has in keeping us, or the power it has in leading us and making us carry out certain types of behavior, because we are driven by about 95% from our subconscious brain. So a lot of things we do them by default. We don't even need to think about them. And procrastination really comes from a lot of the wiring that is in our brain. So a lot of experiences we had, things that we took in from when we were children, things that our teachers told us, things that we've taken in unconsciously from just exposure, newspapers, anything that you're exposed to, social media as well, which is a big thing now. So a lot of these things. So basically what happens with procrastination is that when you tell yourself, or you've wired into your brain, or you've been told, for example, that you're not good enough, or that you can't do something, or you tell yourself this is too difficult. So maybe when you find yourself saying this is too difficult, when you then want to do it, your brain, as far as it's concerned, that thing is difficult. So when you try, it will then stop you, because all our brain tries to do is to protect us, to keep us safe. So why would it let you do something that you've perceived to be difficult? Because it perceives that thing to be a threat. So it will try and keep you away from it. Then it gives you reasons why you shouldn't do that thing. And that is when it starts telling you, you do it later. Maybe don't do it now. Maybe do it later. Maybe this is more important, but don't do this now. And you find yourself putting things off. And that's why it's important, when you find yourself procrastinating, just stop and ask yourself, why am I putting this thing off? How important is it to me? So okay, Chizo says that the stories are now opener, because I never thought of it from that perspective. Yeah, it's really interesting how we tie ourselves up. And there's also, many of you would have probably heard the story of the elephants. That one is same principle, where the elephants got tied up, and even when they were released, did not move, couldn't move, because mentally they're still tied up there. So it's really, really interesting. Other things that can cause that can lead to this are things like beliefs, values, and I've mentioned this subconscious, but also thoughts in particular. And overthinking is a big one, but thoughts in the sense that what you're thinking. And I said to you, reflect on what you're thinking, reflect on your beliefs, reflect on your values. Because if you don't, you won't actually understand what's driving you. You won't understand what makes you you, what makes you make the decisions you make, what makes you not make decisions when you need to, what makes you perceive things the way you do. It's reflecting that enables you understand what's wired in your brain, because what's wired in your brain is what drives your behavior. And in other videos I've done, I've talked about how when information comes into our brain, the emotional center of the brain scans, and if it perceives that thing to be a threat, it then activates our flight, or freeze mechanism, which then protects us or enables us to take specific actions. So the question is, when you're procrastinating or putting things off, for example, What thought process are you having when you find that you feel you're held back, or you're stopping yourself, or something is stopping you from doing what you want to do. You want to do something so badly. You want to achieve success. You want to start a new business. You want to maybe apply for a new job. You want to go up, have a career change. You want to start speaking up in meetings. You want to maybe start a new relationship. Maybe ask your manager to give you a new project. But each time you want to take the action, maybe send the email, you stop yourself. You don't do it. Maybe you're in sales or something that you've got to speak to people about, but each time you're about to make the move, you find yourself holding yourself back because you're maybe afraid of some of these things that I've mentioned. Maybe you want to increase your prices for for the services or products you sell, but you find yourself, what if people don't buy? What if I lose customers? What ifs start coming in? That's your brain doing its job. But we tend to stop there. So when we find ourselves stopping from doing that thing, many times people just stop. I gave an example in our Mindset Women's Network coaching session. I think it was last week. I gave an example of when you're driving a car. You're probably on the motorway or expressway or freeway, whatever you call it, from where you live, and you take a wrong turn. You don't stop and park your car because you've taken a wrong turn. What do? You either use your sat nav to replan, or plan or find out the right way to go or what to do, or you can you figure out, okay, this is a wrong turn, where's the right turn, what do I need to do? You kind of reposition yourself to take the next step to get to where you're going. You don't stop. But in our lives, a lot of times you find yourself, something happens. Maybe you've taken a wrong turn in the past. Maybe you've made a mistake in the past. Maybe you were told that you didn't do something right in the past. All those things that have happened in the past. But when you then want to go do something again, you find yourself stopping. Oh, I failed before. I've done this before and it did not work. So I better stop. I better not do it again. What if I do it and it fails? You literally park your car and just stop there. Why do you do that when it comes to your own life, which is more important than a journey that you're going on? So one of the things to really ask yourself is, what am I being held back from? And I want you to just write this down for yourself. What are you being held back from? What is that thing? It might be one thing, it might be two, it might be more. But what are you holding yourself back from? It's important to identify what this is. And I'll just give you a few minutes to think about what it is and write it down. So while you're doing that, if you have any question on what I'm discussing or talking about, pop it in the comments area so that I can pick it up, because the more interactive you are, it also helps me go deeper into the talk so it can be more relevant to you. So if you've got questions, pop them in the chat and I'll pick them up from there. Or even comments, maybe there's an aha that you get from what I'm saying. Pop it also into the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, also let us know where you're watching it from, and also put questions in the chat or comments while you're watching it as well. So I'm going to continue. Hopefully you've written down what you've identified is holding you back, or what you're being held back from. The second thing I want you to ask yourself is, why do I need that thing? Or why do I desire that change? Why do I desire that thing that I'm being held back from? Why is it important to do it? Why does it matter? That why, answering that why is so important, because that is what gives your brain the information. That is what will connect to that emotional brain to then help you take the actions you need to take. And that's why when it comes to goal setting, I always say the way many people set goals is so wrong. You want to set a goal, you want to do something, you just start writing, I'm going to do this, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to, it's pointless. That's why most times you start those goals and you never accomplish them. Within a few weeks, you've given up because it has not connected to your emotional brain. So that why, answering that why is so, so important. So it's really vital that you answer the why of what, why you need that thing. Because if you don't, the subconscious brain, because it's not identified the reason why, will keep holding you back from doing it, or exposing you to reasons why you won't do it. Then all you will see is maybe people that have done it and failed, or maybe people that have done it and it did not work. And that's all you'll be seeing. And it's almost like, that catch 22. The more you're thinking it, the more you'll be seeing the same thing. And that's when you will be held back from doing it. And then your brain would literally tell you know what, better to stay in your comfort zone. But the comfort zone is such an unfulfilled place. And again, it brings us to the question, am I really fulfilling God's purpose for me? Why am I here? What's my purpose? There's something, a seed God has planted in each one of us. Are we living out that seed? Are we allowing it grow? Are we allowing it germinate and grow and be fruitful to really bless other people as well? So now I want us to focus on some thinking traps that really make people, held back, or that hold many people back. And one of the first ones that I want to talk about is the all or nothing thinking trap. The all or nothing thinking trap is that black or white thinking. When you see things in only two categories. So if you're not perfect, then you're a failure. If you get something wrong, then you're incompetent. No middle ground at all. So if you don't get a promotion, you might then think, I'll never be successful in my career, or I'm not good enough. You start making, everything about, it's black or white. It's those two extremes. That's the all or nothing thinking trap. And that's why it's so important to really have that open mind and broad thinking. And remember, and self-reflection is so important. So you go for a job, you don't get the job, ask for feedback and process that in terms of, okay, so what do I need to do to improve? Use everything you do as a learning opportunity. Perceive it as a learning opportunity, because whatever you tell your brain is what your brain will do. Any information you give your brain is what it works with. And your brain always focuses on what you tell it to focus on. Always, always. So let's look in the chat and see what's coming. Hi, Kanye, from all the way from SA. So good to have you. And oh, Ebu, so good, so good, so good. Let's see who else is here. So please put comments, put questions in the chat. Ah, yellow looks so good on me. Thank you so much. I almost wore black, but I did say no, I need to stand out when I'm talking. So thank you. The other thinking trap is overgeneralization. You know the one, where you take a single negative event or outcome and generalize it to an overall pattern of defeat or failure. So after a presentation that did not go well, you might then say to yourself, I'm always terrible at presentations. I gave this story in our women's network about, I think I've also done it on the neuro coaching with the emotional intelligence training. So if you've not visited the Mindsight Academy, go do it now. No, not now, after this presentation. It's an amazing place. But I gave a talk recently. I was telling the story of how when I did my first presentation and I asked a friend to come along and give me feedback at the end. And at the end of it, she had this, I think, about 4 pages of feedback for me. And about two were good, the rest were all negative. And immediately my brain went, present, this is not for you, Maureen. This presentation or facilitating training is not for you. Just go back to lecturing, because with lecturing it's really different. You're literally giving information. We lecturers, you just talk at people. But when I was with this workshop, was very interactive. So it was meant to be interactive, but obviously I didn't do a good job at it. So I literally came out of there feeling it wasn't for me. And I had to catch myself really quickly and go, no, I'm going to look through the information she's given me and take out of it what will help me grow. And anything that is not helpful, I just disregard. And I literally had to change the narrative really quickly. If not, honestly, I won't be here doing what I'm doing today, because my brain had literally told me, just stop, give it up. So we've got to really be very alert to things and not overgeneralize about things. The other one is mind reading. So you're assuming you know what others are thinking, and usually it's negative but you do it without sufficient evidence. And I was speaking to someone recently who was really portraying that. It was so interesting how she was narrating why she was upset about what somebody else was thinking. Really incredible. And I went, so how do you know the person was thinking that way? Oh, I could see it in their body language. I could see it in what they're doing. And that had then created a huge problem in their relationship. So we need to be very, very careful about mind reading. You assume a colleague or a spouse did not greet you because maybe they're displeased with you. But what you haven't put into consideration is that they might have their own concerns, they might have their own issues, they might not even be thinking about you at all, they might be in their own world. So instead of assuming, communication is so, so vital. Have the conversation with the person there, because a lot of times what creates conflict within people is assumptions of things, or mind readers, as we will say. So if you can identify with any of these thinking traps, I'm going to ask you very soon to identify which one. And then the other one I'm going to mention quickly, there are so many others, but the other one I'm going to mention is the should statements. So where you have expectations or a strict list of rules that you have for yourself sometimes, but also for others, and you feel disappointed or guilty when those expectations are not met. And I always tell people, once you find yourself making statements with she should have, he should have, stop yourself immediately, because that's when you start having expectations that can create problems or even disappointments. So you believe, I should never make mistakes. This is when it's personal to you. I should never make mistakes. I should be able to handle things on my own. Now with this, when then situations occur that you can't handle things yourself, you find that you resist asking for help. So you might be the person that doesn't like asking for help because of the brain will give you the reason, because how you be perceived, or you be perceived to be incompetent, or you might be perceived to not know. So you end up not asking questions and then sinking deeper into that unknown zone. So it's really important to understand when you're having these shoots, and ask the question, is this a fact, is it a reality, or is it an assumption that my brain is making? And shoulds as well create a lot of expectations that are not met, and then could create a lot of hurt as well. So there are other ones like mental filtering, catastrophizing, a lot of others. And in the women's network and next coaching session, which is next week, we're going to be digging deeper into this. So for those ladies, I can see some of you here that are in the Mindsight Women's Network. We're going to be going a lot deeper into this in our neuro coaching sessions. And if it's something you want to know more about, I'm going to put the link at the bottom as well, so that you can come join us in the wonderful place of the Mindsight Academy. So now my question is, I want you to now to write in the chat what thinking trap that you plan to tackle. Which one do you plan to work on? So just put it quickly in the comments area. Out of the ones that I've mentioned, which one are you determined to work on? And let's say from this week. So let's pop those in the comment area. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Joanne. Oh, my sister, all the way from Houston. So good to have you here. I can see you on Facebook. Oh, it's so good to have you here. So let's see what we have coming in the chat. Which ones are you going to work on? Pop them in, and I'll just continue quickly and keep an eye closely on the chat. So I'm just going to give you some tips of what to do to get rid of these thinking traps, or to identify them, and what to do to overcome them or change them. So black and white thinking, exactly, that's a common one actually. It's that extreme thinking. And it's interesting because you find that a lot these thinkings really come from how we've wired our brain. And I explain how, because we've got receptors all over our brain, when you activate certain areas more, you find that that drives behavior patterns. So for example, with that black and white thinking, it could be that you've activated your serotonin, so the frontal left part of your brain, a lot more. So you find that you constantly evaluate things. It's constantly looking at it's the pros and cons, but also taking it to the extreme sometimes, where it's the black and white. It's either right or wrong, and there's no middle ground. Especially when you focus a lot on the quality of things, so it's more the focus of things need to be done well. And some people sometimes can end up, especially when they wire it more and that behavior pattern becomes quite high, you find that they can be perfectionists, which is another thing that can hold you back from doing what you want to do. So I'm looking to see what other people are putting in terms of what you're going to be working on. Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick, I'm going to give you a quick acronym to really help break some of these or overcome some of these. And it's called break. I've got it somewhere here. Yeah, that's the one. So break. So the B is believe in your potential. So when you really believe, and this really comes back to self-discovery, and I talked earlier about how God has put a seed in each of us. There's so much potential within us. And that's why I always talk about us being limitless, because the Bible says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So start by fostering a deep, unwavering belief in your abilities and potential. Recognize that self-doubt is a significant barrier to you taking action. So if you're, for example, maybe hesitating to apply for a promotion because you doubt you have the right qualifications, or if they give it to you, your brain will come up with all different reasons why. Pay attention to what those are as well. Then remind yourself of your past successes when you've, relating to those things that your thought pattern is bringing up. So to the unique skills that you bring to that role, maybe things you've done in the past that will help you. I was talking with someone recently that wants to start a business, but he felt that he wasn't didn't have the right skills, so he needed to probably learn more. But on speaking to him, we found out that he already had all the skills. But but because he hadn't focused on it, he was thinking that he still needed more. So it's important to look inwards, self-reflect, understand what you have first and foremost, understand what skills you have. I'm looking at the chart here. So believe in your potential and ability, self that. Yes, thanks for putting that. And then the R, reframe. So reframe your thoughts. Thanks for putting that in, Ebu. I'll rely on you to keep putting it in. So reframe your thoughts. So identify negative or limiting beliefs and intentionally now change that narrative, reframe them into positive, empowering thoughts. We all have these negative thoughts. And the reason why is what I've explained before. Our subconscious does them to protect us. And negative emotions and negative thoughts are more powerful than positive ones for that reason, to keep us safe. Because if there's something, if I'm exposed to a threat now, it could be life and death, and our brain sees it as life and death. So what it would do is activate that flight or freeze mechanism, so I can either run, so I can either fight, or you freeze to keep yourself still and avoid the threat. And that's why a lot of times we find ourselves in this state. But we now need to tell our brain, this is not a life and death situation. This is actually not a threat. It's not a realistic threat. It's a perceived threat. And then this is why reframing is so important. So change, I can't handle this project. It's too that whole narrative. I can't handle this project because it's too complex, it's too difficult, it's too, all those narratives too. This project is an opportunity for me to learn and grow and to tackle complex changes. It's also an opportunity for me to showcase what I can do. So whatever it is for you, apply it into, reframe it into that situation to help you. And remember, you are the one that will do this yourself. And it's not doing it once and expecting miracles. Repetition is what actually rewires the brain. So keep repeating it, repeating it, repeating it, till your brain then believes it, and it becomes a belief, it becomes a value, because this is where our beliefs and values really come from. Then the next one is embrace small steps, E. So overwhelm often leads to procrastination as well. So break your goals down into small, achievable steps, and that will help you create momentum. So, for example, if for you want to write a book, and that might feel daunting to you, because where do I start? Set a goal to write one page at a, maybe one page a day. So just start small. Maybe it's starting a YouTube channel, or start recording videos. Instead of planning, I'm going to do this video here, just start with one, maybe one a week. But just the key is to just start small. And this approach just helps your brain. It gives your brain clarity, because remember I said it doesn't like the unknown. It gives it clarity. And when things are all jumbled up, it then will freeze in most cases, or it will hold you back, which is then preventing you from doing what you actually want to do. Then A is acknowledge your achievements. So acknowledge what you've done in the past. It's almost like reminding your brain what you've done previously. Because when you remind your brain what you've done previously, then it brings it into your consciousness to help you. And you could do this through reinforcing what you've done, so reminding yourself. I always tell people you can even have a winning journal where you write all your wins, things you've done successfully, so you can go back and visit them. So keep that success journal to record those wins, because it will really help you and make a huge difference. Then the last one, K, is view challenges and setbacks as opportunities to learn rather than failures. So keep learning is the last one. Keep learning. So when you view challenges and opportunities as to learn, it then enables you to have an open mind, to learn. So if a project probably doesn't go to plan, as I said before, instead of feeling defeated, feeling incompetent, analyze what went wrong, like I did in that situation with that lady writing out all the things I got wrong. Just analyze what went wrong, and then what can you do differently? And once you give your brain this information, it becomes so much easy to tackle different things. Makes it so much easy to be able to analyze these things. Now, the full acronym for this is breakthrough, but I don't have time to go through the last bit. But just using this break is such a powerful way to start enabling yourself move past what's holding you back. And if you've got questions, pop them in, because I'm almost rounding up now. I'm just looking quickly in the chat. So on a final note, what you don't deal with will eventually deal with you. So what you don't tackle, what you don't address, could become a problem for you, and that could be in different ways. It could be regret, it could be lack of progression, it could be unfulfillment, it could be a whole lot of things. It could even be even mentally, emotionally, physically, it could impact on you. So almost take the bull by the horn and deal with that thing. There's something that says that, I can't remember where it says that what you fear, that thing that you're afraid of, that thing that you're putting off, literally go for it. Go for it. And there's an acronym that I like using. It's called FACED. So FACED. Feel it, accept it, confront it, examine it, and then do. Just take action. So acknowledge all the feelings, acknowledge, do all that, do the feeling, the emotions that come, emotions of fear, maybe heart palpitating, everything going, legs wobbling, heart really pounding. Just feel it, accept it, accept that emotion. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. And then confront it. Okay, now I need to attack this. What is the cause? Examine it. What is it? What is it? What is it all about? Where is it coming from? That's where the self-reflection comes in. Why am I feeling this way? What is causing it? What thought process am I having? And then just take the action you need to take. It's not going to be comfortable, but the more you keep doing it, then it will become comfortable for you. When we start learning anything new, it's not comfortable, because you're exercising new muscles, and that's exactly what it is. So, but it goes back to those first things that I mentioned at the beginning, asking those questions. What is holding me back, and why do I need to make that change? Start from there, and then use this information, identifying the thinking traps, and then using break to really help you push through those barriers. So I hope this has given you something tangible to take away with. You've identified the thinking traps. Which ones are you going to tackle? Which ones are you going to walk through? And yes, just send me a DM or comment about how you're getting on, or how you are able to deal with those challenges. And it will be so good to hear the progress you're making. So I really hope this has helped you, given you something to work on, given you something to think about. And thank you for everyone that showed up live. Thank you for the interactions. Thank you for my able scribe, Able. I love you loads. Thank you for writing all that in the chat. And it's so good, ladies and gentlemen, to have you on this program. I do this every first Saturday of the month. So put it in your calendar. And then I would love to see you next time that we do this. But also remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So even if you're on Facebook, head over to Facebook and subscribe to my channel. And yes, do visit us at Mindsight, at the Mindsight Academy. And if you do want to know more about Mindsight Women's Network, do let me know, and it will be great to have you join us. So from now, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you once again for joining me on this live.